The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. That's why you're here. You're wondering what's happening to the market. Where are we going? Now we had some big action on the day. A little bit of maybe a trap to the downside, dare I say. But we had some pretty big technical levels traded specifically on the Nasdaq and then leading into the Dow and the ES. Now I'm going to tell you right now before we jump into the video, anything along those lines. The biggest thing this week, okay, the biggest impact on this week, honestly, the smart move is to not even trade until this happens. You will have CPI data Thursday morning, bright and early, okay? Thursday morning, very critical, very big day, okay? Because what this leads and what this will tell us is really put us on the path of understanding where rates are going to go at the next September meeting and kind of set the tone moving forward. Over the weekend, we had a few Fed members talking, and you have Fed members all over the place, right? It's like, typically we get in a huddle as a team and you kind of talk it out, and then like you have a story that you narrate and tell everyone, right? Okay. The Fed does not do this. The Fed, for some reason, you would think they had a group message that they would all talk to on each other on the weekends, maybe at their summer houses. They don't. So you have them all saying different things. So you have some Fed members saying a pause is going to happen. There's no need to raise rates any further. We're in restrictive territory. Inflation's being handled. You have other Fed members saying, nope, not yet. Got to keep. Few more hikes are coming. You have the other guy saying, well, we should pause and then maybe raise rates down the road. Then you have the random person in the back of the crowd saying, we need to start cutting. I'm like, dude, dear God, why is like, pal, talk to your people, right? These are your people, right? They're supposed to be like underneath you, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I think CPI gives you a great visual into the expectation moving forward, because despite, and we're going to look at energy prices and other things along those lines, when we look at energy prices rising, CPI is definitely the cause of concern here, because you assume with energy costs rising that bing, 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 yes, you're also going to get inflation to rise as well, like it did back in 2022. Let's get to it. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is say, hey, consider liking, consider subscribing. It helps out a lot. If not, you don't like this channel, hey, unsubscribe. It's okay. No feelings, no hard feelings, right? Also, too, Discord link is down below if you are interested. More for hands-on, what we're doing throughout the day, everything like that. Make sure you check it out. Also, the newsletter was sent out yesterday, so hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. Now, I do want to talk about a little bit where you're at. So we look here at the 2-hour time frame, and this is kind of like how I'm just looking at the market, okay? So let's go over NASDAQ first, because it's my baby. It's the one I love the most, right? The Bible always says John, the disciple Jesus loved, right? NASDAQ, the futures Tyler loved, right? So we look at what's happening here, and let's just look at a visual. Let me just grab this real quick so you can see. Almost a triple bottom. You kind of broke down a little bit lower, made a lower low there, but I will say like 1, 2, 3, around 15.35, bouncing up. Now, ES in particular, we talked about this on Friday and Thursday. You came where? You came right into a massive, massive level, right? Your previous high that you had established right here, going back to around June 15th, you can actually drop that down a little bit there. You can see a perfect wick and touch 1, 2, 3, right there, bounce. Pretty perfect, right? Going to SPY, you didn't really get the touch down there, but it did touch on ES, Qs, right? You're bouncing right on previous highs. I want to identify and just give you guys a visual. Let me keep that there for you. But painting a picture, look at where you bounced previously on Qs at previous highs. So not as perfect here, a little bit of a wick below, but pretty interesting, right? Very important. But I'm going to tell you right now, before we go any further, again, I can only say it so many times. If data comes out bad, I anticipate a drop, okay? Crystal clear. I want to be very, very clear. If data comes out bad, we have bad prints and inflation starts to spike again, or you see a flare up or it stagnates, right? I anticipate equities to just get hammered pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to say that right now. That's the ultimate cause of how I think downside comes back into the market. Okay, so we understand that. We know that. Okay, so that's where we're at there. So that's what we're looking at. Now, on the day, we look at some of the action. And so we had some interesting behavior here. Early morning, obviously, from 8:30 a.m., basically until 10:30, we just declined here on the NASDAQ, coming right back into this range. And I was telling Discord, I was like, guys, look, like this action you're trading here on the NASDAQ, this 60, 70 points back and forth, that's not how I make money. I say it to you guys all the time. When you're trading ranges like this, right? That is where for me especially, that's where I lose money, okay? Like, we understand that's where I lose my money. This is where I lose most of my trades. I'm not a chop trader. It's not what I do. I typically perform best when you mount and you start getting reactions, right? And you're volatile. That's where we like to trade. I mean, even here, this is better action to trade, but this is just brutal, right? So it's important to understand that. Okay, so I was just like, I haven't been trading that much. It's just been slow, and I'm just looking at the market. I'm just like, look, but I know how I trade. I know my statistics. I know from my journaling. If I'm going to keep trading this, I'm going to lose. I've already got stopped out of Apple twice, right? Tesla's 2025, so I'm not too worried about that. But ultimately, that's one that's killing me, right? It's like around $3,000 lost over the past like week, give or take, just on Apple, right? And those weren't even full positions. But just transparency's sake, I like to be transparent with you guys. And so that's where we're at. And so on Apple, I just made this decision today. I was like, look, on Apple, I'll go back to it, but I got to see buyers step in first. And then ultimately, I'm looking at like some scalp opportunities out today as well. So like even for myself, and again, I want to be transparent so you guys kind of know what to expect and what I'm looking at for myself. So just in the scalps, the only thing I could even take today was Microsoft, right? So Microsoft, I've been saying here a lot. I like the way it's moving. I like where it's at these lows. You're making high lows on the day. You got above VWAP, and I was targeting like almost 330. Then the next one's like 331. You know, even on that, like this is again why I don't love it. But you know, you got the breakout from that point above VWAP. You can even put the indicator back on, right? You break above, you mount, bull flag, and you push up again. It was just slight, small gains. It was nothing impressive, nothing crazy. And it's just like I'm working very hard to get kind of a little, right? Which is fine sometimes, but it's also like I understand how we've been trading over the past few weeks and months. And it's just like, I don't want to put all this effort into something like this and then be stressing as well on the short-term side of it, right? So I just want to let you guys know, right? Even if it's slow for you trading, understand it's really slow for me. Right. And so it's all about, like I always say in the previous videos, knowing when to attack the market, knowing when to get in, knowing when to strike, knowing when to try to take advantage. That's what this game is. Right. And so right here, it's just like I have to like pump the brakes. I have to take minimal trades. I have to just kind of be patient, let this play out. That's what I'm saying. Thursday, when data comes out, you get your answer. You get kind of a good feel of where the market's going. Okay, so that's where we're at. We're still, in a pretty touchy area. You're trying to get back over support, over previous highs on NQ. That's a good sign. ES pushing back up as well. Good sign. Really on ES, get above 45.60, then 45.90, and you're in business for resistance 145.60. Now, really quick looking at cheddar flow. A lot of you guys have been requesting this. I just haven't been doing it as much lately. I'm sorry. But going over a quick bit of flow that's happening here. So SPY, again, and just to give you a visual of how money's positioning itself, this is a really dated position in the money. I'm not too concerned about that 720. Not concerned about that whatsoever. These are the options I'm more concerned about, the closer dated ones, whether they're in the money versus out of the money. And a lot of these calls are being put in that are near dated within the next 2-3 months, right? 90 days. A lot of these are they're near or at the money. So these are obviously in the money, the 438s, right? That's number one. That's bullish in my opinion. And then number two, you got a little bit out of the money here, going for 620 2025. It's a little bit dated, so not super concerned there. But a majority of these are for at the money, right? Very, very interesting for me. And then the 429s are out of the money. So they're not, it's an interesting position, but that's more of most likely a hedge. Like hedge funds aren't going to typically go heavy out of the money unless they're trying to de-risk at certain other areas of the market, right? They're not trying to make, 400% gains on a $2 million position. It's not what hedge funds do, believe it or not. Okay, Qs going in here as well. Probably some more bearish. Yeah, a lot more bearish action happening here. I already knew that. Qs, this is definitely where you're seeing any and all of the weakness being established. But I will say this right now. Your option contracts still aren't that high. A lot of these are for 2024. Important to realize that. You can see out of your top 5 here, 3 out of the top 5 are all for the, dated positions, right? So understand that, okay? And again, they're pretty dated and some are out of the money as well. But I'll still say, you're seeing order flow get more in favor of the downside, specifically on Qs as of recently. And it gives me a lot of the same feels of last year. Okay, so last year we had this play of oil. Remember, we traded oil. It was probably the most successful thing we traded last year. Very good, no complaints, obviously. You go back to US crude and what happened? Last year in October, November, give or take, you top out here, March, and then going into June, and then going into the last quarter of the year, you just kind of push down, right? Okay. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get a pullback like this on tech. Not at all what I'm saying. But it gives me similar vibes kind of towards what's happening with tech. XLK, the tech ETF, really gnarly push, right? You broke all-time highs here on tech, primarily held by Apple and Microsoft, right? So that's what kind of happened here. So I'm kind of just like watching and trying to be patient here. Also too, XLK, me and Jay talked about it. We're looking for a bounce around the 168, 169 area. But that's kind of what we're watching for here. And that's kind of what I'm just like, I don't want to get caught. A lot of people that got caught trading oil and trying to go long there, they lost a lot of money. So I'm trying to like play both sides of it and be careful with where we're going. And that's why I keep saying I'm waiting for buyers to show up. I'm okay not timing the bottom. I always say this, patience, guys. You don't need to time the bottom, right, to make money. You can get in after you break a resistance. You can get in after you start, consolidating a little bit at highs, right? And you start making some new supply levels, new demand levels, right? Those are things you need to be looking for, right? And that's constantly what I'm trying to do. A step further, we look at Dow, and Dow is a monster here, right? I'm gonna go to the daily, absolute monster. I mean, again, like absolute monster. You could argue that you are potentially trying to form out a massive cup and handle here on the Dow. You could really make the argument, right? And people aren't going to like this. They're going to tell you you're a permeable. Guys, I'm barely even long right now. I'm only long on Tesla, okay? But as you look here, you have the cup. You're getting the action. This thing really might start looking incredible, right? So just start playing it out and looking at what's happening here. Again, I'm trying to look at both sides of it, and I'm not trying to jump to a conclusion either way. Because when you start to jump to conclusions, you get overly confident, and you kind of disconnect from what the market's doing, and you start to just do your own thing. From my experience, that's where I lose all my money. That's where I have my biggest losses. That's where I overexpose myself in the market. And again, for me, the goal is to never overexpose myself. It's a survivability game here. It's a game of attrition, understanding where your weaknesses, where your strengths are, and playing to those. Okay? And so that's what's happening here. I've slowed down, especially because of Apple, but I'm slowing down. I'm trying to navigate the market to the best of my ability here. Okay? Now, a few stocks that you want to talk about. Tesla. If you've been watching the channel, dear God, Tesla, this morning, again, for me, and this is another great learning experience for you guys as well. You're not going to catch every play. You might even be looking at plays and calling for it, and then you just watch it go by. Today, Tesla was exactly that. This morning, I didn't have confidence in the way Nasdaq was moving. ES was holding really nice, but Nasdaq was losing all that strength. And even though Tesla was coming into our demand down here, it's really like on the daily, you can see it there, but it's even closer down here. You came right into it, right? This has been here for multiple days and videos, so you can see as well. Go check back, right? You bounce right out of this. And you came from the news of the CFO getting, he kind of stepped away and they were hiring a new CFO, so you kind of dropped it at market open and you bounce back near the end of the day, right? And we all know I'm hyper bullish on Tesla, but mine are for 2025, most of those positions, and setting myself in the long term. But just to show you, like, textbook exactly what I wanted to see. Honestly, like, within the first, I can go to the 15-minute or 1 hour candle here, right? This candle right here was the signal to buy, right? Perfect candle. Extreme selling, extreme buying happening. You step right back up, right? You can even pull the volume up as well. But yeah, so anyways, it doesn't matter, right? That's a perfect signal. But even someone like me missed out here. And you came right into your previous lows here as well. Textbook trade. But I just want to show you guys that sometimes you're going to have to allow yourself to miss out on trades and miss out on opportunities because things just don't fit your criteria, or you don't have the confidence in the market, or just to know you're human, that things will happen like that. So again, while we're in this period of where we're at going into this data, for me, pumping the brakes, slowing down, being patient, waiting for opportunity here. I will say Tesla, I love it for 2025. Love it. Contracts are dirt cheap. Massive, massive opportunity. Do with that what you will, but I love it. Okay. Anyways, that's about it. All too much I want to talk about today. I'm not going to go too in depth with anything else. I will say though, I'll have a live or space call here on Twitter in like the next 30, 40 minutes. So check it out. Just go to the Twitter link. The link is down below. You guys can hop in and ask me questions as well. Have a good one, traders.